Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Today I'm sharing the 10 cards I made using Love From Lizi's August 2021 card kit. The theme is bold and beautiful. As I'm recording this voiceover, the kit and most of the add-ons are still available, but it is a monthly kit and quantities are always limited. I do have links provided in the description box if you are interested in purchasing the kit or subscribing. So let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. One thing I really like about this kit, the pattern papers are very gender neutral. There's some that are a little more on the feminine side, but I think most of them could be for masculine or feminine cards. I have this fun pattern paper for the background with lots of circles and different designs inside each of those circles. I'm adding a strip of solid cardstock, just a burgundy color. I'll also put some peel-offs along the edge of that strip, just for a little extra detail and contrast. I'll layer this pattern paper piece on that same burgundy cardstock and then again on some black cardstock. I'll put my card front onto a card base, and I won't have any of that white card base showing. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, so 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. I'm adding a stitched rectangle die cut, and I cut this out of some off-white, kind of a cream pearlescent cardstock. Before adhering it to the card, I am adding some scrap pieces of cardstock where it goes above and below that strip of burgundy cardstock, just to keep everything nice and level. Then I'll adhere it to the card with some liquid adhesive, and I decided to put it at an angle. Next, I pulled out the sticker sheet that's included in the kit. There's 5 little numbers and they're surrounded by some gold distress look. So I'm putting all 5 of the numbers on that rectangle die cut. Trying to line them up and get them nice and evenly spaced. Then I'll use 5 different sticker sentiments. I thought it would be fun to have this list of 5 sentiments on the card. Sometimes you just need to add more than one sentiment. So I'm using Spread Sunshine, Enjoy Every Moment, Stay Wild, Trust the Process, and Keep Looking Up. So lots of really nice positive sentiments. Then for a little embellishment, I'm using one of the wood pieces that's included in the kit, a little arrow. And my favorite way to decorate these is to do some heat embossing. So I'm pressing it into a Versamark ink pad, making sure to get it nice and wet. Then I dump some golden crown embossing powder on top, and this is made by Love From Lizi. I'll hold it with my tweezers so I don't burn my fingers, and I'll just heat set that with my heat gun. So now it has this lovely golden shine to it. I'll adhere it in the upper right hand corner using Ranger's multi-medium matte liquid adhesive. I love this adhesive for adhering wood pieces or little metal pieces. Then a final finishing touch, I decided to add a few of the tiny gold gem stickers that are included in the kit. I put 2 in the lower left hand corner and 1 to the right of the sentiment box. So there's my finished card, and this is card number 1. For card number 2, I'm using a card sketch for inspiration. This is Freshly Made Sketches number 317. Now this sketch is designed for a square card, but I added the measurements for an A2 size card instead, and it'll be a vertical card. I have some green tone-on-tone paper for the background. For that smaller rectangle piece, I have some fun pattern paper with these 3 little birds. And the birds were sort of scattered all over that pattern paper sheet, so I made sure to cut out a portion where I had the 3 together so it looked like a group of friends. I'm using some tone-on-tone paper for that yellow strip, and you only see a tiny bit of it. I'll add a couple of the black peel-offs to the lower portion of the card using the medium and also the narrowest width. And these are the pinstripe style. It's the most popular peel-off style. I do like to cut them a little bit wider than that card panel and then just wrap the ends around the back. I'll layer this panel on some black cardstock. Now the kit only includes white cardstock this month, so you will have to bring in any colored cardstock. Lizi does have 1 5-pack of colored cardstock as an add-on, and she also has her pearlescent cardstock, which is my favorite. I am changing this sketch up a bit. I'm not adding that thin strip across the front of the panel. Instead, I have my little sentiment that I'll adhere to the left, making sure not to cover up my 3 little birds. And this is a sentiment that's included in the kit. Friends are the family we choose. I love that sentiment. I layered it on some black cardstock, then popped it up using the thin foam circles that are included in the kit. Then I'll finish off the card adding a few more of the gold gems. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 2. I love those little birds. They're so sweet. Now moving on to card number 3, using a card sketch from MFT. This is number 408. If you are interested in any of the sketches I use in this video, I do share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. The link is provided in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For this card, I will be changing up that sketch again. Sometimes I really just use them for some inspiration. So I have this beautiful floral paper for the background. Also added a strip of some pattern paper with a bunch of small sentiments, and then this tone-on-tone little circle flower paper for the very bottom. And I did use a scallop border die to cut out that bottom piece. So instead of having one of the pattern papers above and below that large floral pattern paper, I decided to have both of them at the very bottom portion of the card. I used the scallop die that's included in the kit to cut out this white circle. Then I have 2 different stamps, the wreath and also a sentiment that fits perfectly inside that wreath. Now I had stamped it first, but I decided to stamp it again and then pop up that sentiment. And this is side by side or miles apart, friends will always be connected by heart. So another real sweet sentiment. Then to finish off the card, I'll add a couple small banners in the upper right hand corner. One out of this same reddish cardstock and the other out of that tone-on-tone yellow pattern paper. Just layered the 2 together. I'll also add a few of the gold gems. I love these gems. They're the perfect size since they're not real thick. 2 in the upper right hand corner on the banners, 2 in the lower left hand corner, and then 1 to the right of the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 3. Now moving on to card number 4. My daughter told me this is her favorite card. I have some grid pattern paper for the background, and I'll be layering it on some pink cardstock. I'm also using one of the 3x4 cut-aparts. It's my favorite in the whole kit. It has this really great paint splatter background with a heart and the word hello in the center. I trimmed down that cut-apart just a little bit, and I'm adhering one of the gold Polaroid frames. This is a little chipboard frame. Just adhered it right on top of that cut-apart. Put some liquid adhesive on the back and adhere it to this grid pattern paper, and I do have it at an angle. I'll add a couple of the pink holographic peel-offs to the bottom portion of the card, and this is the pinstripe style. It's also my favorite peel-off color. I just recently finished off a sheet, so I had to start a new one. I'm using the medium and the narrow width peel-offs, just putting the 2 at the very bottom of the card. It'll add some really lovely sparkle. I'll put some ATG tape on the back and adhere this piece on that pink cardstock. So I try to find a pink that matched some of that pink splatter from the cut apart. Put my card front onto a card base. Using some of the ribbon that's included in the kit, I tied a small bow, and I'll adhere it using a tiny glue dot. Trying to figure out where I wanted to place it. Finally settled with right underneath the heart. Just to add a little extra sparkle to the background, I'm adding a few of the pink iridescent glitter hearts. So this is another peel-off style. There's 3 different sizes of the hearts, and I'm just putting them in the background. It's kind of subtle, but it does add that little bit of sparkle. We'll also add a small banner in the upper left-hand corner. I felt it just needed something up there. And I just cut that little fishtail by hand. I'll adhere it to the card using some liquid adhesive. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 4. Lots of pink and gold. Now moving on to card number 5. Now, just a warning, this card is definitely not my usual style. Thought I would try something a little bit different. I have some pattern paper for the background that has lots of great uplifting sentiments. I'm adding 2 peel-offs. This is the clear gold mirror peel-off in the pinstripe style, using the widest width and also the medium width. So it's clear in the center and it has the gold foil along the edge. So I just put 2 across the background. I'll layer this piece on that burgundy cardstock. I'll put my card front onto a card base, and I won't have any of the white card base showing. Now, inspiration for this card is from Alicia over at Crazy Paper Chick. She's also on the Love From Lizi design team, and she does an amazing job using ephemera or stickers. She can take a bunch of different pieces, layer them together, and they look great. I feel like any time that I've attempted it, it looks like the sticker sneezed all over my card. But I decided I'm going to try it again, since a lot of the stickers have a very mixed media look, and I feel you can get away with that. So this is me attempting to add a bunch of different stickers, layer them together, and hope that it looks like something and not just a big sneezy mess all over my card. And I'm sorry, Alicia, if I didn't do you justice. I know your cards will be amazing, so you will definitely need to go check out her channel as well. I think I've added most of the stickers I want on this card. I have this little journal piece with the bird, and I decided to cover up the sentiment that was already on there. It has documented, and that doesn't really work for a card. So I'm using another sticker and put the word joyful. And I did pop up a few of the pieces using some of the foam dimension that's included in the kit. Then to finish off the card, I'll add a few of the mini star peel-offs in black. These are the peel-offs that are included in the kit. Now, I used a sheet that I've already started. You do get a full sheet. Just putting them randomly around all of those stickers. And there is my finished card. I'm not a mixed media person, but I still think it worked and it was fun to create. Now moving on to card design number 6, going back into my regular style. I'm using a card sketch from OWH. This is number 256. I have this beautiful daisy pattern paper for the background. I love this paper. It's definitely my favorite. The back side of the daisy paper has a yellow tone-on-tone pattern, so it matches perfectly. I'm adding a couple of the gold photo corners to that yellow pattern paper piece. I was going to try just one, but it seemed off balance, so I'm adding one more to that lower corner. I used some really faint blue grid pattern paper for that little banner across the bottom of the card. And I'll be layering all of this on some yellow cardstock. I used a scallop rectangle die to cut that out. But first I'll add a couple of peel-offs to the very lower portion. These are the clear gold mirror peel-offs. Just putting 2 of them at the lower edge of the card. And I'll layer this piece on that scallop rectangle die cut. Put my card front onto a card base. And there will be some of the white card base showing around the edge of that scallop rectangle die cut. For the sentiment, I've already stamped this out. Friends are the family we choose. And I used one of the scallop circle dies that's included in the kit. I'll pop this up using the thin foam circles that are included in the kit and finish off the card adding a few of the gold gem stickers. And there is my finished card. This is card number 6. That sentiment is my favorite on the whole stamp set. For card number 7, I'm using another card sketch. This is MFT number 507. I love the large oval that's featured on that sketch. Perfect for using some beautiful pattern paper. So for my card, it's the same pattern paper sheet. I'm using the front and back side. So I have some feathers for the oval, and then the back side of that has a bunch of squares and little flowers in black and white, and it has a distressed look. Layering all of it on some black cardstock. I think those colors look so pretty together. For my cardstock matted layers, I generally add an additional 1/8 of an inch, but I decided for that very background to have 1/4 of an inch instead, so it's a little wider matting. Use some black cardstock for the longer banner, and then some more of the pattern paper for that narrow rectangle strip. Just layer those 2 pieces together. Before adhering it to my card, I will add some scrap pieces of cardstock above and below where it goes off of that oval, just to keep everything nice and level. And I do have to add 2 layers of the black cardstock. You could also use foam dimension for those layers just to keep everything at the same level, but I always have a bunch of scrap pieces of cardstock, so it's nice to use them rather than waste them. I'll put some liquid adhesive on the back and adhere this banner to the right, following this sketch fairly closely. Next, I'll add this fun heart die cut shape, and I use some of the pearlescent add-on bundle for that. It's a really pretty soft orange color. Also using one of the stickers for the sentiment. This is "You Are Loved So Much." So first I'll glue down that heart using some liquid adhesive. I'll adhere the sentiment on top of that heart just to make sure it's all at the same level. I'll first add some scrap pieces of cardstock to the left hand side, and then I'll use some of the foam dimension. And I'll just adhere it right on top of the heart, making sure you can still see the heart above and below that sentiment. Then I tied a small bow using one of the ribbons that's included in the kit. It matches perfectly with this pattern paper. I put a small glue dot on the bottom. I'll try to figure out where I want to place it. I do end up placing it underneath the heart, but I didn't like it. So I pulled it up and unfortunately I ripped the paper. So I figured I better keep it there since I don't want that ripped paper. For embellishments on the card, I'm using some of the mini circle peel-offs in black, putting 3 of them in the lower left-hand corner. Then after the card sat there for a moment, I decided I can fix that rip. We're going to cover it up. So I removed the bow and I pulled out the sticker sheet, and I'm adding a couple of the gold hearts. And I really like how that one turned out. I think the hearts worked out really well with that sentiment, and it completely covered up that little rip. For card number 8, I'm using Love From Lizi's Background Builder die set. This is a really fun set. You can cut out several different pieces, mix and match them to create different layouts for your card. I have some fun blue tone-on-tone paper for the background. I also have some of this watercolor looking card that's included in the kit. There's 3 different sheets and it is fairly thick. I also have some light blue grid paper for that thin strip. And all of these have that faux stitch detail, so it's really fun. Before adhering that thin strip, I will put some scrap cardstock just on the very right hand edge. And I'm layering this whole panel on some blue pearlescent cardstock. And this is from the pearlescent cardstock bundle that's an add-on. I'll put my card front onto a card base. You can see I do have a scallop circle cut out of the background. It's a great way to make your specialty cardstock last just a little bit longer. I used the larger circle die from the background builder set for my sentiment, and it layers perfectly on one of the scallop circle dies that's included in the kit. So that's really fun. I've already stamped out the sentiment. It's "Best friends are the sisters we choose for ourselves." Now the words "are supposed to be in those 2 little hearts on the sentiment, but I did not do a very good job stamping those out. So it really didn't pick up the words. I think my ink pad may be just a little too juicy, but I think the sentiment still works even without the "are the" words. I'm adding a few of the sequins that are included in the kit. It's a really colorful sequin mix this month. The kit always includes the sample size bag of sequins, and if you really like sequins, you can purchase the full size bag as an add-on. I decided only to use the teal color. I'm putting 2 of them in the upper left hand corner, 2 to the lower right hand corner, and 1 to the left of the sentiment. And I'm using my embellishment wand to pick those up, adding just a drop of Barely Art liquid glue. And since I still have that peach colored bow tied, I decided not to waste it. Just put another glue dot on the back and adhered it underneath the sentiment. Since you can still see there's supposed to be something on those two hearts, I decided to cover those up. I'm using the clear iridescent mini heart peel-offs, using the largest size and putting them on top of those hearts. So now it'll have that little bit of sparkle, and you can't tell that I just did bad stamping and didn't get the words stamped nicely. So moving on to card number 9. I'm using a sketch from MFT. This is number 551. This is a brand new sketch and I thought it looked like a lot of fun. I selected 3 different pattern papers and cut them out to the banner strips indicated on the sketch. Now I figured out all of those measurements. I don't promise that they're exactly what they should be. I do modify measurements all the time anyway, but I do try to get them about right to the sketch. So I'm just cutting a fishtail at the bottom of each of those pieces. Decided just to go with those primary colors. I love this star pattern paper, so definitely wanted to feature that one. With all of those pattern papers, I decided to use just some solid cardstock for the background, but it does have a pearlescent finish. It's a white. It was from one of Love From Lizi's pearlescent bundles. The one this month doesn't have the white, but I always keep my extra pieces. Never know when you're going to need one. So now I'll just start adhering all of those banners. And I am following this sketch fairly closely. I did speed up this portion quite a bit. Did take a little bit of time to adhere all of these banners in place. I think this would be a really fun sketch to use up the last little scraps from a paper pad. So almost have all of those banners in place. On this sketch, most of the banners are flush to the edge of that thin strip. I used some blue cardstock for that, but I didn't get them perfectly straight. So to cover up that little bit, I'm adding a Love From Lizi peel off. This is the silver moon dust color in the pinstripe style. So that'll just clean up those little edges and you won't know that I didn't get them perfectly straight. I'll layer this panel on some dark blue cardstock, then put my card front onto a card base. And I won't have any of that white card base showing since most of the background on this card is already white. I'll attach the sentiment to a stitch circle die cut. I use that same dark blue cardstock. And my Barely Art glue is almost out. I really need to refill it. Decided to have the very right hand side of that circle go off the edge. And I meant to have it go off a little bit more, but it was already attached. For the sentiment, I'm using one of the stickers, Go Where the Stars Take You. Thought that was appropriate with the star pattern paper. To finish off the card, I'll add a few of the star bling pieces that are included in the kit. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 9. This one was really fun to make. I like that sketch. Now moving on to my final card, this is card number 10. I'll be using the stencil that's included in the kit. It has all of these really fun circle elements on the stencil. Now I'll only be using one of those little starbursts. I have some Juniper Mist ink from Catherine Pooler, and I'm also using her brand new ink stand. This is so nice. It has little grips on the bottom. It won't move while you're doing your ink blending, and you don't have to hold onto the ink pad, so that's really fun. So I'll just remove this stencil and you can see that fun pattern. I cut it out using one of the scallop circle dies that's included in the kit. Now I will be using a card sketch. This is Mojo Monday number 498. I have some more of that star pattern paper, and I'm layering it on some dark blue cardstock. For the background piece, I'm just using some, it's like a bluish purple violet colored cardstock. Layer this whole panel on that dark blue cardstock, put my card front onto a card base. And I like this sketch since I really wanted to use one of those circle elements on the stencil, and I think this one worked out really well. For a couple of those little strips that go behind the circle, I'm using some more of that blue cardstock. And for that center strip that goes behind the circle on the sketch, I'll be changing that up and using one of the sentiment stickers. This is You Are Somebody's Perfect, and I'll adhere that on top of the circle instead of behind. And sorry about that, my camera just automatically shut off on me. And whenever that happens, it changes my zoom and my focus. So I'm having some camera issues and I think it might be time to buy a new one. I'll be popping up the circle using some of the foam dimension. And this dimension is easy to cut, so I could use some of the half circles on the edge of those little strips. Remove the release paper and adhere it to the card. And I'm shifting it to the left just a little bit more than what's indicated on the sketch. Then I can attach the sentiment right on top, so I'm still following the main idea of this sketch. For a finishing touch, I'll add a few of the star gems in the upper right-hand corner. So overall, a fairly simple design, but I really like how it turned out. And I did decide to add some foam tape underneath the very outside edges of that sentiment sticker. Otherwise, it would droop down. I also decided to add just a few of the peel-off stars. These are the mini stars in the silver mirror color. Just putting some of the tiny ones in the background. They'll add just a little bit of shine. Trying to figure out where to place that last star. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 10. Now here's a quick recap of the 10 cards I made using Love From Lizi's August 2021 card kit. The theme is bold and beautiful. As I'm recording this voiceover, the kit and most of the add-ons are still available, but it is a monthly kit, so quantities are always limited. The only way to guarantee receiving a kit is to sign up and subscribe. I do have links provided in the description box for most of the products used in this video. Now here's everything I still have left over from the kit. 4 full sheets of the white cardstock, and this is alcohol marker friendly. I still have quite a bit of the pattern paper, mostly small scraps, but there's also 2 full sheets. There's so many fun patterns included in the kit this month. There's 1 more small scrap. I have 2 full sheets of that watercolor pattern card and then a partial. I have 1 more of the Polaroid frames, 4 of the wood pieces, 4 of the photo corners. Still have lots of the ribbon. And of course the stamp set, the stencil, and I did forget to show the scallop dies, but I do have those as well. I have the sequins. I did use up most of the foam dimension. Still more of the star bling and the little mini gold gem stickers. I do have most of the star peel-offs. This is a used sheet, so you do get that full sheet. I used quite a few of the stickers. Those were really fun this month. And then I still have all of the 12 by 12 paper. I realized I didn't use any of it. And it's 12 by 12 that was cut in half. So lots and lots of products still left over. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.